Dalot's injury is another big blow for Ruben Amorim, but what it is a boost for the academy. We've got Bentito, Mantato, and Kamason, who are both very good options that can play right back and right wing back. And Kamason wasn't involved with the under-21s yesterday and is set to have some involvement in Manchester United's game versus Bournemouth tomorrow. There's reports saying that he will be in the squad. It's unknown if he'll be in the starting 11, but we're going to talk about Kamason that could be making his debut soon, who he is, Mantato, and this opportunity for young stars and the importance of youth between now and the end of the season. We're about to bring in Enzo Canabiak from Le Havre if all goes to plan. Diego Leon comes in the summer. We know Vivel is looking at those gems. Sako Kone, fantastic goal for the under-21s yesterday. We're going to talk about the youth and the plans for that. Manchester United have been linked again with Min-Jae, who Bayern Munich are open to selling. Is there much truth in that story? Should we go for Min-Jae? He's not quite lived up to the player he was at Napoli. I don't think he's a bad player, but I think he's been incredibly underwhelming for the most part at Bayern Munich. And could he work in Amorim's system? Other talk on Rashford and Antony. Romano speaks about that and basically says they're unlikely to play for Manchester United again. And then a little bit from Romano on Victor Osimhen, and basically saying the same thing as David Ornstein about why top clubs aren't in for Osimhen. If you're unaware, United's two targets are Dalot and Cunha. We've spoken about Dalot and Cunha for ages. They're the deals we're focusing on. Cunha wants to come. Dalot hasn't chosen a preference yet. We'll have to wait and see. But we're going to talk about some other topics outside of Dalot and Cunha today. So, hello, and welcome back to 10-Minute Roundup. If you do enjoy today's video, feel free to hit that like button. And of course, subscribe down below if you're new, if you want all the United news packed into 10-minute videos. So, Dalot injury. It was said Diogo Dalot has suffered a calf injury and could be out the rest of the season. Diogo will be out for the next games, and it's possible for the rest of the season, says Ruben Amorim. He did also add that Diogo Dalot is going to work really hard and do his best to try and be back for the final game of the season, which United were hoping will be a Europa League final, but sadly he's going to be out. Now, right now, I said it's going to be probably Amas left wing back, Dorgu right wing back, and everyone said, Alice, you're an idiot. We have Mazraoui. I know we have Mazraoui that can play right wing back, but I think he's right centre back, Yori's left centre back, Maguire's central centre back, unless you want Lindelof playing, because De Ligt still isn't 100% fit. Aiden Heavens had a setback. De Ligt could be back very soon. Amma could be back very soon, but Leach is out for till December. Heavens nowhere near back. So realistically, it could be Amas and Dorgu, which means there's an opportunity. I think Dorgu starts right wing back, but there could be an opportunity coming up for a Mantato or a Kamason. So what does this mean for the youth? With Dalot injured, it's possible we might see Jayden, Kamason or Mantato make their debut before the end of the season. With De Ligt and Heaven out injured as well, Mazraoui's going to stay right centre back. Amas right now is left wing back. Dorgu's right wing back, but he might want a bit of rotation as well, because if something happens to Amas or Dorgu, we're even thinner in the fullback department. Now, Jayden, Kamason, Tyler Fredrickson, and Chido Obi were not involved in the under-21s. Either, I believe, was Harry Amas. So I think they could all get opportunities versus Bournemouth. I think Fredrickson could start again because he was very good. Obi could start for Hoyland because Obi can't play in the Europa League, and Jayden Kamason could potentially get an opportunity. He's likely to be in the squad. Some reports say he's in the squad, but we don't know if he'd be in the starting 11 or play. But I want to talk about Jayden Kamason and the player he is. So he's an 18-year-old right back for United. He looks athletically good, fast, energetic, seems technically sound, reliable in the big matches, the FA Youth Cup versus Chelsea and Arsenal. I've only really watched the big academy matches, and he always impresses in those big academy matches. He seems very comfortable playing right back or right wing back. I feel like he's not a defensive right back or he's not an offensive right back. He's someone that can be a defensive right back and be an offensive right back, which I think is a really good trait to have in a modern fullback. The stamina, I think his ability to get up and down the flank and ball carrying is what Ruben Amorim will like. Ruben Amorim needs wingers that are incredibly athletic, just can get up, down, up, down, up, down, and he definitely brings that athleticism, but he also has that technical ability. In terms of the strengths, as I said, pace and power, rapid over short distances, strong in duels. There's a lot of times where he's got back and made really good recovery tackles, and he's been defending against a difficult winger and they haven't got the best out of him. In terms of threat, I think he's direct, he likes to drive forward, and I think some of his assists and crosses are very good. I think his final third output is decent. I still think his best attribute is 1v1 from what I've seen, but I do think his attacking threat, being direct, getting forward is good because he seems very calm under pressure, seems very calm defensively. I think 1v1s is his strength, particularly defensively. but I think all of his attributes, he's quite strong and quite composed and quite aggressive. And I think what I like about him is he likes to drive forward and push the team forward, which is something Ruben Amorim wants the wing backs to do. And because he can play a defensive fullback role and attacking fullback role, he brings, I think, that much needed versatility that Ruben Amorim would like. Energetic, attacking, balanced, strong, good forward runs. I think as a player, it's energy, it's attack, it's, wide channel defendings, recovery pace. I think he brings all of these elements that maybe Ruben Amorim will want him to bring. We also have Man-Utd, who can play at right wing back as well. He's a lot more attacking based. He can play left back, left wing, right wing. He's way more attacking. I think Kamason is probably more defensively strong, but Man-Utd as well just has incredible potential. And I think, with Dalot being injured, which is sad and a big blow, because I know a lot of people have been frustrated with Dalot this season, but he's definitely looked better these last 5-6 games. If you take up the Newcastle game, I think he was arguably top 3 players in that Lyon game. It's a devastating blow, especially after Xerxes, De Ligt having issues. As long as we've just got to pray that it's Bruno that stays fit and Ahmad comes back soon. So let's talk about the importance of youth. The squad is thin and needs rotation in the Europa League games. Kamason, Morehouse, Fredrickson, Amos and Obi could all be involved to rest other players. Morehouse played for the under-21s, which was fantastic. I don't think he's going to be involved tomorrow. But they could all play, so we can actually rest some of our main players to avoid them getting injured ahead of the Europa League. I also think with Eriksen and Lindelof leaving, we might as well play youth. Eriksen and Lindelof are not good enough. They're going to leave. I would rather give Jack Morehouse and Aiden Heaven, if he's fit, minutes than Lindelof and Eriksen between now and the end of the season, if I'm going to be totally honest. And I even think if we're not planning to use the youth player next season, if you play the youth player a bit, it can, 1, help them get a loan move, or 2, increase their value. I'm not the biggest fan of selling youth players, but let's say Fredrickson, he plays 5-6 games, he's gone from a player we could get 500k for a player we might be able to get 7, 8, 9 million for, just because he's played a handful of games in the Premier League if we decide to sell him, and that puts us in a better position financially. Not that I'm the biggest fan of doing that, but if I'm looking at it from a business perspective. What I noticed is that Fredrickson, Amos and Heaven have not looked out of place one bit when given minutes at United, which shows that, we might need them and we might trust them, and maybe Ruben Amorim's going to give them opportunities in the all-important Europa League like he started giving Amos. Sekou Koné was fantastic for the under-21s yesterday. He scored a brilliant goal. I don't think he's going to have any involvement this season. I think this was a development season and to get settled in season, but I think next season I could really see him getting opportunities. He's really starting to turn into a good player, as well as Sekou Koné coming in this summer. Diego Leon and potentially Enzo Cannavik could be coming in this summer, and that is great work from Vival. Not only have we got a great academy and great youth players, but we're going out there and signing some of the best youth players from abroad. We've also been linked to players like Franco Mastantuono, who's also a very incredible talent. So let's talk about the Min-Jae links. Manchester United knocked on the door for Min-Jae last summer. Bayern would be prepared to sanction the sale if they get an offer between 34 to 42 million, but it's unclear if they will return. I don't think we're going to return for Min-Jae because, 1, I don't know if he's the wide channel defender that we need. 2, I think he's not been as good this season. we seem to love buying players. And 3, I think United would like him for under £30 million. Now, I was a huge fan of Min-Jae when he was at Napoli. I thought he was a really good value player there. And I still like the player. I still think he's a decent player, but he's 28 years of age. He's not, he's been good for Bayern, but most Bayern Munich fans will say De Ligt is better, and we've got De Ligt. Do you know what I mean? I think he's good. I think I like him. I think if you can get him for about 20 million quid because of his age, it's something that you definitely look at. But I also think he's probably more of a back four defender than a back three defender. But I was a big fan. Continuing on. What I'm hearing from sources is that Rashford and Antony are both not expected to play for United next season, says Romano. As I've said a million times, Rashford and Antony, even though they're doing well on loan, they're very likely to be sold. Amorim is happy they're doing well on loan and said he's happy they're doing well on loan. The reason Amorim is happy they're doing well on loan and Man United are happy they're doing well on loan is, 1, because it will make it easier for them to sell Antony and Rashford. And the whole reason they went out on loan, let's be honest, was to raise their price, get them off the wage, but raise their price so we can sell them and we can have more to invest in the summer. Romano said that Rashford and Villa want to continue together. They're happy together. Unai Emery's relationship with him is good, but it depends on the money. If Villa don't get Champions League football, it'd be difficult. They can probably still get Rashford without Champions League football, but they couldn't get Asensio. They would have to pick between Rashford and Asensio. But there are quite a few clubs interested in Marcus Rashford, and we know that Marcus Rashford's dream is probably Barcelona. I think Rashford's going to wait for Barcelona. And if Rashford plays really well between now and Villa's last few games, I think potentially he gets that Barcelona move. I think if Villa get Champions League, I see him going to Villa, but I think he'll be looking at potentially Barcelona. But Rashford and Villa, they seem happy. They want to continue together. But I think a big part of it will just depend on Villa's money, as Romano said. I also don't agree with Unai Emery playing Rashford striker. Play Rashford left wing and Watkins striker. I don't think Jacob Ramsey's that good as a winger. I think he's better centrally. So we'll have to wait and see with that. And then last but not least, Romano did say on Osimhen and why English clubs aren't going for him that he wants the same salary he's earning at Napoli, 12 million plus commissions, and his 75 million release clause, and no English club is ready to pay him 12 million euros net. I think there's concerns over attitude and stuff as well. David Ornstein sort of said something very similar, that a lot of English clubs do not want to give him his wages and they're worried about the attitude and the mindset and the mentality. Now, for me, I just think he's such a good player. Given the wages, just take the risk. But I know that we've done that in the past where we've given players big wages and they've not been very good for us and they're just here for the wages and they run down their contract and they cause issues. And I think United want to avoid making another mistake. But I do think with the position we're in, as much as I like Dalot, I would rather us go for someone a little bit more ready-made. Thank you for watching today's video. See you next time. Bye.